Hi, my name is Kylie, and I decided to do my final mass media project on one of my favorite shows called The Office. Now, I love The Office and I watch it every single day, but unfortunately, it's going to be taken off of Netflix, which is super, super sad because I really love the show so much. So, anyway, let's begin. So, to start off with a brief description of The Office is a sitcom television show that depicts the lives of office workers in Scranton, Pennsylvania that works for a fictional paper company called Dunder Mifflin. And yes, this description sounds incredibly, incredibly boring, but trust me, it's a really good show, which I will get into later in my presentation. So, to start off with the history and origins, The Office is a mockumentary sitcom first made in the United Kingdom, which, when I was doing this research, was a shock to me because I thought The Office was created here, and I had no idea that it was first, made in the United Kingdom before it came over to the US. So, the original British series was created by Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant, and the producers in the US were Ricky Gervais and Greg Daniels. So the US series took 9 years to film for a total of 9 seasons. And for the sake of The Office, I'm going to only be focusing on the US series, not the United Kingdom or the British series. So next we'll move on to the development of the show. So it was developed by Greg Daniels and he served as a showrunner for the first 4 seasons of the show before leaving after co-creating comedy series called Parks. And The Office was actually filmed in LA and a place called The Valley, which if you watch The Office, you'll kind of see the background setting and then you'll see the valley there. And it debuted March 24th of 2005 on NBC and ended in 2013. So the writers. So there were a lot of writers for the show, which was also pretty shocking to me because I had no idea that some of the characters are actually writers. For example, Mindy Kaling, her right here, she plays Kelly in this show, and she actually worked for customer service for the show. And it was surprising to see her face show up when I looked up writers because I had no idea she was a writer for the show. And she plays her part amazingly. So next is Michael Schur, who plays Mose, which is Dwight's super, super weird cousin. And you don't see him too often, but he is very prominent in the show. Next is Greg Daniels right here. We have Ricky Gervais, and he only had a very small part in the US series. So he was only in like a very brief, like 3-minute clip in the beginning of one of the episodes where he and Michael get to meet for the first time in the elevator. And it is really, really funny because they both have like the same personality and they really connect. And if you haven't watched The Office, Michael's personality can be a little bit annoying sometimes, so it was really funny to watch. Next, there's Ryan Coe, which is right here, Daniel Chun, Lee Eisenberg, and Gene Stupnitsky. That's a mouthful. So these were all the writers for the show. So, according to our book on page 176, yes, it is a sitcom, but more specifically, it is a situation comedy, which is each episode establishes a narrative situation, complicates it, develops increasing confusion among characters, and then solves it. So, in each episode, there is a problem, and it is super fun to see how each character reacts, how each character thinks, and what they believe is right and wrong. So, it is really funny. So, now we're going to go into the legacy of The Office. So, did the show inspire other shows? Yes, it did. So, Michael Schur, he co-created Parks and Recreation, which is right here, Brooklyn Nine-Nine here, and then The Good Place is right here. So they were all critically acclaimed comedy shows, and the shows were a big hit. I have not seen the shows. I have heard of them before, but I have not watched them. So I do not know how good they are, but if I love The Office so much, I might check them out once The Office gets removed from Netflix. The critics. And what did the critics think? Well, to be fair, there were a lot of mixed reviews, which were, again, very fair. The first season was a letdown, and I 100% agree with that. It lacked depth and energy, and it was hard to know or care about the characters. And usually in the show's first season, you get to know the characters and their background and why they react the way they do in later episodes. But for The Office, there was no development and the characters gave off no energy. It was like they didn't know how to play their character yet. So that's why there was a lot of mixed reviews. And again, some critics liked and disliked the show in the beginning, which is, again, very fair. Because honestly, I didn't like the first season and the second season was okay. But honestly, whenever I rewatch like the series, I skip the first and second season and go straight to the third season because that's when everyone gets a really like a feel for their characters and it's much more entertaining. Syndication. Is it in syndication? Yes, at least until 2025. It will be kept on Comedy Central until 2021. And this will air through a non-exclusive window on Viacom Media Networks through 2025. Again, it is going to be taken off of Netflix, and then it's going to be aired through that other network until 2025. And then afterward, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, my research didn't tell me anything. I guess no one really knows what's going to happen to it. But unfortunately, it's really sad because it is getting taken off Netflix, and that's really the only network that I kind of watch. So why you should watch the show, other than that I think it's hilarious and blah, blah, blah. Well, the first thing that's obvious is it's going off of Netflix very, very soon, and I think it's super important if you want to watch it that you do kind of get on it. And the time is limited to watch it, and you may have enough time to watch the whole the 9 seasons, but depending on when you watch the video, blah, 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 you probably won't. And honestly, we all have nothing to do anyway since quarantine is happening again, where I'm at anyway. So you might as well try and watch a new series because we have nothing better to do at this point. There is a ton of dry humor, which I love so much. If you are a fan of dry humor and dumb jokes, you're going to fall in love with the show, which I did. And again, the show is filled with sarcasm and a lot of "that's what she said" from Michael Scott, which you would think would get kind of annoying after a while, but it really doesn't. And I think it's the way he delivers it, which makes it not as annoying. But in the first season, you're not going to like him. The second season, you're probably not going to like him either. I didn't like him the first or second season. I thought he was terrible, but now I think he's great after he developed his character. So the actors made the show for me. They really did. Each actor developed their characters throughout the season. So again, like I said, in the first season and the second season, each actor, I don't think they really knew how to portray their characters. So the energy was just not there. Each character was so boring that they had nothing to give, and it was awful. So throughout the seasons, I think they actually really get to dive into their characters. And honestly, you could probably have an entire conversation with them, with their characters, and they would make the correct jokes on time. It's crazy how much they develop their characters throughout the entire series even. So the next is that there are still in-depth scenes, even though the show is really, really funny, lots of dry humor. These are still people. They're still people working, and they all have lives outside of work. And sometimes it's easy to forget that. So there are in-depth episodes where people do get to share regular world problems. I know there was a problem with marriage and how they were fighting a lot, and there was divorce. So a lot of it is things that happen in the world, and they do get to touch on that, which is pretty amazing because, again, the show is really funny, but it's not all laughs sometimes, so that's when you really are able to connect with the characters. And my favorite part is there's no cliches that I saw, and honestly, There probably were some cliches, but they were so well done and so put together that I didn't even notice, which is what I love because I hate everything, like all the shows that have like the cliches, like you know what's going to happen. In The Office, you have no idea what's going to happen, but you're still happy by the end. So again, there are so many, many, many reasons. Again, going off Netflix soon, the dry humor, the in-depth scenes. There's really no cliches that are gonna annoy you. Amazing characters and great actors. So thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Here are my credits, and thank you.